Todd and Rob in the afternoon.
Hey, afternoon delight.
With Todd and Rob. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, here we are. We're back live with the new media show after being off for NAB and quite the catastrophe that happened there with our recording. What is the deal with us trying to get a recording out of an event?
Yeah, it has been a little bit of a hit and miss type of situation, hasn't it? Yeah.
That was a great session.
Yeah, it was.
We had a really, really great session at NAB, and you walked away and the SD card was
It was all hiss. Yeah, right.
So did they even feed us? It doesn't look like they even fed us the right audio. And of course, with not being able to get in there and test beforehand, that's part of the challenge.
Yeah, that's the real challenge, is that, really most of the sessions that were done on the same kind of track that we were doing at the NAB were not recorded. So trying to record our show was a little bit of an anomaly to their normal process. And that's usually where we run into problems, is when we're trying to do stuff by hacking the system and trying to put a Zoom recorder on it. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Well, not only that, I came back and Monday I did my regular show and went live to get ready to go live, and Twitter shut down their creators studio. So I guess I've got to find a new way to stream on Twitter. They want you to do it on the app, not via RTMP. And looking at the the Twitter questions about it, there's a lot of pissed off people. A lot of people got the plug pulled, and they're all trying to figure out how to, and there's nary a word on what they've done. So I don't know if they've just completely shut it down. So part of Elon Musk's antics, I guess. And, I pay for a blue check mark on Geek News, and I don't think I do on New Media Show, but was one of those things where just, I guess we're done on Twitter for a stage. So now we're just going to be on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and live stream. So
yeah, well, that's quite a few.
And I was looking at Cloud Wazda today, and for some reason it won't connect to our page on Facebook. So I need to go look and see what's going on with the New Media Show page on Facebook to figure out why it won't connect either. So I don't know if they just limit the number of pages. I don't know. It's one of those things that's got me bamboozled. But guess what? 99.99% of people that listen to the show listen or watch post anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Right. That's true. I'm curious if that breakage has an impact on, like a StreamYard or a Riverside or some of these folks that have API relationships with these platforms. So
well, it's not API. It's RTMP. It's
okay.
There's no API interconnection unless they've made some other type of integration deal. But you still,
I would think, though, at the kind of scale that these guys are doing on these live video streaming platforms, that they may have a better connection than
the only connection that we make to it's still a manual process. Even Facebook is the only one that authorizes you to authenticate, and it pre-fills the data in the streamers. YouTube.
So like a StreamYard doesn't, or a Riverside, or those kind of platforms, you have to manually configure it.
Yeah, if you authenticate with Facebook, you don't have to manually configure it. But if you're going to be doing YouTube or Twitch, all those, you have to manually put in the configurations. You got to put in you got to take the streaming data you get from, just like here, if I look at YouTube, it's basically got.
Well, because I created an account in StreamYard, and I went through and I just logged into my account.
Which account?
In my my Twitter account or my YouTube account, and it automatically sets it up.
That's
So,
a new one, because before when I used StreamYard, it was all manual.
Yeah, I mean, if you go look at it today, I've got in an account that I have set up in StreamYard right now, I can just click a button, log in with my username and password to my account at each of these platforms, and you're all set up to do live streaming.
The problem though is you have to have enough upstream bandwidth to push to all those locations. You have to be able to have enough bandwidth to push to Twitter, to Facebook simultaneously. So you have to have enough outbound bandwidth to do 3, 4, 5 streams if you want to do that without going through a restreamer. So there is no, I don't know how you get quality out of that with being because you have to have the outbound bandwidth to do that. That's the challenge here. That's why I only push 2 streams. I go to one is a restreamer because of the bandwidth constraints. I can't push to all of those from a single streaming point.
Here, let me share my StreamYard account. You can
But
actually
unless
see it.
they're doing some restreaming internally, which would surprise me a lot.
Okay, here's the configuration window for my. Oh,
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
oh, okay, I can't see it. Okay, it vanished from me, but okay. Yeah, so you can see that it's got add destination. So you click that and it has all these listed in here about, Facebook page, LinkedIn page, YouTube channel, Twitter, and then Twitch.
Yeah.
I've got some of these already set up.
Yeah, I'll have to reach out to CloudWows and find out why they're not doing that integration like that, because I can only authenticate on Facebook on Wowza. So maybe it's time to look at a different restreaming service.
Yeah, I mean, if you have to do that through Restream, they must not have a like I was saying, this looks to me like an API integration of some sort, because it's like you click log in and it takes care of the rest of it.
Does your Twitter account stream automatically then when you go live?
Yeah.
Because I had to go through the process I did before, is I had to go through their studio platform.
Yeah, I mean, StreamYard, it doesn't even ask me.
Huh.
It doesn't even have any kind of a configuration window. It's either connected or it's not.
Well, that's something worth looking into. I'll look around at the different streaming services or restreamers, because I'm not capable of doing anything out of here without RTMP in the way through because I push to Wowza and then they restream via RTMP stream. So, and the only one I can authenticate with is Facebook, and it drops authentication about every 6 to 7 months. So,
I would imagine that these streaming platforms like StreamYard and others have done direct.
But Wowza is massive. They're 10 times bigger than any StreamYard will ever be. So I don't understand why they wouldn't have that integration done. It's a good question to ask them, because that just seems like that would be simple for them if they're that, they're a big company, massive company.
Are they?
And dealing with commercial, different, let me Google this. Cloud Wowza Twitter streaming, see if there's anything that there's on their online system that talks about it. Yeah, they don't. There's nothing in here about send an SRC stream. That's weird. Well, that's good.
I mean, you would think, with technology the way it is today, it would be a simple thing to pass the credentials to a platform like a Twitter or Facebook to make that connection. It's not something that you should expect your your content creator to know all of the configurations and the ports and all this stuff. It seems
Right.
we should be way past that kind of issue, but it doesn't sound like that's been your experience.
They do that with Facebook with Wowza, but maybe it's just because maybe I need to look at a new restreaming service. So anybody else using another restreaming service out there that has those integrations? Because without being able to, because before I had to load a separate studio page in Twitter, set up the broadcast time, and actually start the actual live stream manually. There was no physical, there was no automated system to do it. So,
yeah, and I do wonder, and this is probably a really good topic for the show too, is are we going to see more new content creators come into doing podcasting through these platforms? Mainly for the reason of the double ender capability that these platforms are increasingly offering. I mean, I know Squadcast has offered this for a long time. I know StreamYard just added it. I believe that Zoom is about to add.
Yeah, they're adding double ender.
Right. And so that's a significant kind of trend in the industry, is because if you can get that double ender recording, you can really almost really be equivalent to a person sitting there in your studio with you, type of audio quality. And that's powerful for remote recordings.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. We'll see where it goes. Unfortunately, the way my studio is configured here, I can't use StreamYard. Unless StreamYard has adopted NDI, then maybe. But it's it would be a challenge. It would my entire stack of stuff would be, I don't even know how I would configure it with the way I've got it configured now. It would be.
You'd probably have to run the connection to StreamYard through another computer or something.
Yeah, that would be, and then you're going to have a computer that has enough guts to do that, and not necessarily a low end. I have one high end box. Everything else here is just pretty simple machines.
And I know that your TriCaster there that you have is a very capable box. There's no question about that.
But it definitely doesn't have the ability to do multiple streams. So there must be something StreamYard's doing there, because on a normal connection, they must be restreaming. I can't see how they would be pushing 4 separate streams. Most computers wouldn't handle the load to do that. So they must be taking a single stream out and then restreaming themselves. That's the only way they could do that, because I can't even push 4 live streams here at once. That I don't have enough bandwidth to do it. So,
well, I'm sure that they're basically taking that up to the server, and then they're redistributing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They must be
Right.
restreaming it.
Right.
And if they're doing that for $20 a month, that's a pretty good deal.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, because what you're talking about doing is you're trying to maintain separate live streams through your own connection, is what you're trying to tell me.
Well, no,
what happens.
What I do is I push one to YouTube and I push one to Wowza. Then Wowza does one to many.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about 2 then. Okay.
Yeah, so I push 2, and and it's 6 megs a minute or 6 megs a second. That taps the bandwidth out here pretty quickly. Now, the next challenge is HLS. So StreamYard does not create an HLS stream. So you would still have, even if you were using StreamYard and you wanted to be able to provide an HLS stream to be into these new podcasting apps with the live and lit, then you would still have to use a restreaming service to get an HLS output, because that is the most expensive thing about running the live stream right now, is that HLS stream. Because
why couldn't they set up an HLS stream, the same thing that they're doing with these other?
It's very expensive to run HLS. Because what they do then is they become the head end for delivery to every. So what happens is I push to Wowza. They open a single stream to Facebook, a single stream to Twitch, and then wherever else I'm doing. And then the HLS is sitting there on demand. And when someone comes in via a podcasting app that wants to watch this show live, it's like opening every one of those as a connection to like a connection to Facebook, a connection to YouTube. So I essentially get charged by the gigabyte for every external live streaming connection on the video side. The audio is not complicated because the audio is low bandwidth. But when you're doing video HLS, you're essentially the person that's connecting to that is essentially just like getting the raw stream that I'm feeding Facebook, and I have to pay for that pure bandwidth for each. So if that got up to like 1,000 people that were watching live, we wouldn't be able to do it because it would be too expensive. We could not afford to put this stream live on other devices just because of the cost. So if we ever have this like huge surge, and I watch it every show, I see how many people were watching HLS. As long as it's 10 to 20, it's not bad. But again, when you start adding, if you get to 100 or 1,000, that could be $200, $300, $400 a show to deliver via HLS. It could get very, very expensive because you're paying for the bandwidth and the number of connections they're making to Wowza, because Wowza is essentially now sitting there as a server on demand for connections. So anyway, techie talk, but it's interesting that StreamYard is restreaming. That is a lot of value from a low cost account like that, from one to many. What is their limit? What is their restream limit? Have you found it?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen any limits to the simultaneous streams, but I did, not to change the subject, but
Sure.
it is a little bit of a derivative topic here. I don't know if you've visited the New Media Show page on YouTube Music, but you might want to go take a look at it, or I can share my screen.
Well, I can get it up. Oh, and YouTube Music?
YouTube Music has us, and it has at the top of our episode list, it has a button that says live.
YouTube Music.
So they're now linking to our live version of our show inside of YouTube Music.
So if I look for New Media Show and I click on it here.
Yeah, it's at music.youtube.com. Right.
So it's showing our live show.
Yep. In the episode list says live.
Yeah, I just clicked on it. So you obviously heard that.
So is it just audio or is it video?
No, it's video.
Inside.
I got to make sure. This thing is, I got to back out of this because it's trying to start it every time so let me show this screen. 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so there's the screen.
To come up with this link. Now, I did not see a video version of it showing up in here. So the YouTube Music folks are just pulling the audio version of our show into YouTube Music, but they're picking up the live video.
That's an interesting move by their part.
Yeah, it's actually smart, I think.
I would say this is the first smart thing they've done. So that's curious.
But this experience is, just to let everybody know, because I know we have a lot of viewers and listeners outside of the U.S. This is U.S. only.
Right.
So you can't see this outside of the United States.
I'm going to turn the volume down and see if I can play this and see what it looks like.
I would imagine it takes over the screen, doesn't it?
It did when I first did this. Let me try this again. But the audio, the video is horrible. It is not anywhere near. Oh, isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Because the quality of this, now let me go over to YouTube. It doesn't look the same. The video quality is horrible. Let me go over
it could be your bandwidth too.
I might be. But at the same time, go over to YouTube and I go to my channel. And yeah, it might be my bandwidth.
All of the other episodes below the The
Yeah.
live link
Are
appears to be audio.
right. Well, that's definitely a development.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. So the question is then, do they notify you if you go live? That is the question.
Right.
Save episode for later, play next, add to queue, add to playlist. So
I believe you have to add it to your library probably before it shows up in any kind of notification.
And I clicked add to my library, and it didn't
Mhm.
stick. Let me go ahead and try it. See,
Oh yeah.
that's an issue. Not letting you.
Okay. And it's also asking me to install YouTube Music to my home screen.
Oh, isn't that curious?
So I'm not sure what that means. What's the home screen?
That's
So
probably to your computer.
it wasn't very specific. And it said that I don't know if that is the YouTube homepage or yeah, I just don't know on that.
Yeah, so it shows my Geek News Central show, but it shows just video.
It doesn't appear to show any, like at the top navigation or any kind of feature area for shows that are podcasts that are live. Like a featured area or something like that says these shows, these podcasts are now live or anything like that. It doesn't appear to have any area that promotes live podcasts.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It makes you go, just a little bit. 'Cause I'm back over on YouTube podcasts, and nothing has changed over there.
Yeah, it doesn't do any prompting either on your homepage. So once you've subscribed to it or once you've clicked the follow button, it drops it into your shows area at the very top of your YouTube Music page.
Gotcha.
But it doesn't change any kind of status that it displays, showing that this show is now live. It doesn't change any status. It still shows the same way. So no one outside of being on our page would actually know that we are actually doing the show live right now.
Right. By the way, I want to
Actually,
say, I think we've got Ed and David are watching on YouTube. Thanks for checking in, saying hello.
mhm.
Yeah, it is curious. So I'll have to do some more investigation on this for sure.
Mm-hmm. But it is interesting that they've done this integration. But it's also interesting that they've just gone ahead and added podcasts.
Right.
So were you was your Geek News in there?
It's in there. So anything that's been flagged with a podcast on YouTube is now on YouTube Music. That's new.
Right.
I don't know when that went down, but it can be found now, which wasn't the case, before I left for NAB. So
Right. Yeah, I was just trying to look up a couple of other shows.
they're just launching stuff and really not saying anything. They're just doing things.
Yeah, their PR strategy doesn't seem to be aligned with anything that they're doing.
Hey, by the way, Eddie, if you're still watching, tell Brownie to ask his wife to check Messenger. I sent her a message.
Right. So I did a search for my name, and it's interesting what comes up for that. Just to see what. So it's finding episodes,
But it's being fed. It's
shows.
being fed from YouTube. It's not being fed from RSF.
No, that's right. But it's interesting from a search perspective. It's finding episodes that I was either a guest on
Mm-hmm.
or mainly that. It's not finding everything. So they didn't ingest everything, but they are definitely pulling from YouTube
Yeah.
to to come up with what is showing up here.
So it's the shows that are showing up for me and YouTube Music are ones that have a video present, that have video shows. I've got stuff in there from 2015, two from 22, 2019. It goes back quite a ways, but of course, then a lot of it shows up for my stuff too. So, well, I guess we'll see what develops here with this. I'm again, no big rallying cry from content creators, that's for sure. And by the way, we are lit and live, and I'll turn the volume back up. So if you're watching lit or live, we are available to be boosted, and so if you want to do that, and we did have some boosts come in. We had Scott says still waiting for his stickers, 5,000 sats. Bronto Rodeo said YouTube should be part of any podcast syndication plan, but it shouldn't be the only plan. Sean. Cass Garden is now syndicating GNC to the Fediverse network, 100 sats. I think that covers it. Lysum said, note to self, how is Substack podcast features for, oh yeah, we covered that already. We didn't know anything about that piece. And we are having some folks that are streaming the show live today. Martin is listening via Fountain. Anonymous is listening via Podverse, and those are sats that are coming in by the minute there. So I'm gonna turn that off so that it doesn't bug us every 15 seconds with the boost. So thanks for those streaming sats. But I tell you, Rob, let's talk about the NAB show a little bit.
Okay.
You were there for 2 days.
Yeah.
What was your takeaway?
Well, I thought it was the show was getting back to more what I would consider to be kind of normal as far as attendance and scale. I think the last couple of years it was like, maybe half speed. So it wasn't quite as significant of an event, but this one definitely felt a little more normal. I think that event is getting back to normal, but yet at the same time, I think podcasting has kind of slipped backwards a little bit there at that event. So as far as the amount of companies that are participating from the industry and things like that, I think there was only like, besides the audio recording and microphones and all those kind of stuff, folks, like Shure and Sennheiser and Rode and those kind of folks, all those folks were there. But as far as podcasts, hosting companies and things like that, I think there was probably only like
there was 3 of us. Yeah.
Right.
Podbean was there, and I think they had a pretty bad booth position. Libsyn was over in West, and I think Rob was quite disgruntled that he was over in West because our traffic was fantastic. The first 2 days, matter of fact, the first hour of the show made my entire show. I had 2 people from the Middle East walk up to the show and have a conversation with us, and those 2, matter of fact, I've been pretty busy here the last couple of days, but those 2 clients alone made the show from a performance standpoint. But we talked. Here's what I saw: we had people come through, educators, lots and lots of educators, meaning colleges, college radio stations, a lot of individual content creators that are thinking about doing a show or doing a show, and then obviously businesses. But I would say, and we asked, how did you find us? And 80% was, we're walking by and we saw you and we stopped. So we made a point. Again, I wasn't in a section that was necessarily audio. I had a big camera guy across from me and a wall in front of me, and really the guy next to me had a Rector set type of, scaffolding type stuff that goes on studio sets. So I went scouting and found what I consider to be one of the highest traffic areas, the Central. And when Mackenzie went to talk to them about doing the booth location, I didn't get the exact location I want, but I got probably the second best. And if they don't change the floor plan, for anybody that's been in Central Hall, Las Vegas Convention Center, when you go from the upper level down to the lower level, there's a set of steps, and usually the big boys are down below those steps. I am at the top of the steps, right on the edge. So if we hold that position, which I hope we will, from a traffic standpoint, there's no reason why we won't have 20,000 people walk by it. So position is really the game there. But I agree, our session there, we had probably 50, 60 people in the room.
Yeah.
And
it was decently attended. I mean, for a show as big as that,
and as far as the way the room was,
that we would have had more, but yeah.
But for where the room was in the South 40,
right?
Way
out in the West.
People had to. The only reason they were there is because they purposely came. They didn't just find us.
Right.
That they didn't just find us. That no.
It's too hard to find anything at that show, and that's one of the aspects of the NAB show that's very difficult, is that even if you know where you're looking for and you have the booth number or the meeting room number, it's very difficult to find that. Looking at a map doesn't really help you that much.
You got to learn
that's one of the challenges of those type of events, is that they're so big that it's difficult for people to find their way, and it takes so long to move around.
You're just not acclimated to reading the signboards. You got to figure out which is on the right and left hand side of the aisle, and follow those markers.
Well, it's not always easy, because I mean, even on the show floors, sometimes the booth number signs are obscured by other signs that are hanging, so you can't even see them. So I mean, you can't. Like I was trying to find your booth, and it took me
we saw you walking around. We saw you 2 rows
20
over.
minutes trying to find you, because I couldn't see the sign that had your row number on it, because there were so many other signs.
Right.
So yeah, it caused me to walk around, and I wasted a lot of time trying to find something.
That's why when we prepare and send out emails to people, we give them very explicit instructions of who we're by and the best way in. We give a secret decoder ring to get to us.
It's almost like it would be cool if they had like some sort of a GPS location.
Well, they do. The app does that. The app shows you your location. Yeah.
Oh, it does? Oh, I didn't see that capability.
You got to use the app. Center yourself. But most people don't load the app. They get the booth.
Oh no, I had the app. I just didn't know it worked like that.
Oh, okay.
So,
but how good it works, I don't know.
Well, that's true.
Hey, John Spurlock in the Mastodon chat said, hey, the other items in the list have audio or video as well. This is just a projection of the YouTube playlist. You marked the podcast earlier over in the music app. Nothing to do with RSS feeds here. That is exactly correct, John. We know that. He took a screenshot of our YouTube stream and basically put it up in the music.
All the other episodes on the YouTube music page are audio only.
I didn't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Then how did they get that?
How else would they have gotten it?
All right, let's go back over there again. New media show. Let's load it. Oh, no. They're video.
Are they? So if you click.
Yeah, I need to hit.
Okay.
Yeah, they're video.
Oh, so, that's a little perplexing to me. It's an audio product, but yet they're linking to video.
Yeah.
So, okay.
YouTube's about video, baby.
So it has nothing to do with RSS.
There's no audio and there's no RSS implementation. They just grab it looks like at the bottom.
Okay. So I think I understand what they did. So you went in and changed the playlist to flag it as a podcast.
Absolutely. Now, if I play it on the bottom, they don't show the video. They just play the audio. If I hit the player at the very bottom of the page, it plays it as an audio podcast. If I
At the
go
bottom of the page?
at the bottom of the page, but only at the bottom of the page does it show up. Does it play only as audio? So they're basically making it's such a hokey thing here. Oh my God.
So how does that work then? So if you click on the episode in the episode list.
So if you click
Yeah.
on, it doesn't start playing the video until you click on the video button. But if you click on the
Oh.
audio button, it'll play the audio.
down below at the bottom.
Yeah,
of
at the
page.
bottom.
Okay. Yeah, I can't see the bottom of the page in your screenshot.
So therein lies some interesting. Yeah. So basically, they're anyone that's doing so in the music app, I bet you it just plays as audio. They strip the video and play the audio.
Yeah, so they're not looking at RSS feeds at all.
Not yet,
Is what that's
for sure.
what this is telling us right now.
Yeah. And if you have, I'm sure if you have audio only over on YouTube. So
I don't see any shows over there that are audio only. Do you?
no, I haven't. I haven't. So again, and it was interesting. I was having a call. I had to be careful. I was having a call with a company that's bringing new product to market. I'll just leave it at that. A very big company that's bringing a new product to market. And I was talking to that individual about how YouTube is really, obscuring the name of podcasting. I said, now, without going into who they are, and maybe a couple months I'll be able to say who they are. But I said, if you want to become in the better graces of the podcasting world as a whole, you will market that you source content from RSS. And if you decide not to cache, that it's on pass-through. No guarantee that they are going to go on pass-through. But
that was, you're talking about pass-through with YouTube?
Not with YouTube. I'm talking about another big company that's bringing something to market.
Oh, okay.
And I said, just remember, I said, if you're doing caching, I said, there's going to be trouble. I said, there's going to be issues. And we had this whole document that we shared with them that talks about these best practices for this is a big player that's coming into the space. And I'm like, listen, we're giving you the roadmap of the lessons learned of Amazon, Spotify, all these companies that have rolled out. Here is what you're going to face. We're trying to give you a roadmap to success so that you'll have the most support and less headache of getting shows onto your platform.
Yeah, I think I know maybe who you're talking about, because there is one that's kind of trying to come into the podcasting space, but
don't even mention it, because I can't confirm or deny. I'm under NDA. So, but yeah. So again, they did it to an extent, but anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens with them. I said, but if you start caching, I said, you're going to run into trouble. If you don't go to pass-through immediately, I said, because people are going to, the big boys, the Wonderies and whatever else, the megaphones of the world might not allow their content to come onto your platform if you're caching.
Yeah. Well, this is the conversation I've had with the YouTube folks that are working on this whole things.
Right.
I asked those questions and they didn't really have an answer for me to come back, other than, they intend on hosting everything. So that was their only answer. And I said, well, that's a difficult road to row down, or boat to row, right? And if you look at the history of the medium, there's been other people, and we've talked about this on the show before, but there's been other people that have wanted to cache and rehost as well. And in the end, guess what? They didn't do it. They went pass through.
So it's been I been literally since I stepped back in the office Monday morning. I've been literally 10-hour days. Number one, trying to catch up. Number two, now starting to reach out to people that we met, and it's just, yeah, there's not enough hours in a day ever to get all your work done. So somewhere, matter of fact, while you were messing around, did you find that link from Dan for that file?
No, we started doing the show, so I haven't
I
found it
haven't
yet.
looked. So apparently we may have the elusive podcast movement recording.
Well, in the podcast movement app today from Evolutions, you can see the video of our session.
But that's
up
only
there
if you
as well.
it's only if you paid for the plan, right? The plus plan or whatever it is.
Well, or if you're a speaker, I mean,
Oh, okay.
you got access to it. But yeah, I was able to see the video as well as the audio, and I thought Dan sent both to us in that link. So
okay, well, when you find it, I haven't found it yet. So
okay, yeah, I'll get it over to you. But
but otherwise, I've been kind of almost feeling a little bit out of loop. Been reading, of course, what's been in pod news and so forth, but I just, again, I almost feel disconnected because there's so much stuff happening with the company.
yeah, well, things keep moving forward. I did notice that in today's pod news, it does show it says 217,795 podcasts have published at least one new episode this past week. That's down 1.2% weekly and down 2.3% monthly. So we continue to see a decline in weekly publishing.
Right. I was going to get since you brought that up, let me go find the stats link. Let's see. Is this what I want? Nope, not you. Oh, maybe that one? Is that what I want? Yeah, so, 206. Yeah, he must have got it right from this. 216,910. Is that the number he used?
No, he has in here 217,795.
Yeah, this updates on a regular basis.
From the podcast index.
Yeah,
Is where I got it from.
the number I really look at is the 30-day number, that 377 number.
Yeah, he's doing it on a weekly basis here.
So 377 in the last 30 days, 463, 178, and 60, and 525 in the last 90 days. That's down a third since last summer.
Yeah.
But there's been 509,000 new podcast episodes. So 260,000 podcasts, but 506,000 new episodes. But
do you have the number there of how many podcasts published a new episode in the last week?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's 216,900.
Oh, 216,000. That's actually 1,000 less than
but
James showed.
I'm sure he got it. This changes probably hourly. So this number that I'm looking at is, it's floating. So, but again, we go back to, and what's very scary here, and this is really super telling, is 525,000 podcasts with new episodes in the last 90 days. That at 463 in the last 60. There used to be a much bigger spread there than that. So really, I'm
not sure that number means very much. I mean, if you're only publishing an episode every 90 days, you don't have much of a podcast.
No. And the 7-day number is pretty, in my opinion, that's, if you're not publishing every week, if you look at it, 216,910 and 7 and 296,606 and 14. So, there's 70, 80,000 shows that are bi-weekly, according to this, this rough look. So, 210,000 are, but if, how many categories, if we really start thinking about it, you've got 217,000, and let's say 216,000. How many Apple categories are there? 30?
Yeah, something like that. I think there's like 32 or 34.
So that means
like
there's, if you just do a straight average, that's only 7,200 shows per category that you're competing in.
And
some
that's
of those,
archive shows too.
right?
Right.
And some of those shows, well, no, that would be active shows.
Oh, active shows. Right. Okay.
So, but still, that 7,200 is, and again, based upon the total number of, some of these shows are publishing twice a week. So if we look at the 7-day at 509,000, that's probably really more like 3,600 per category. Just in some categories, they're going to be weighted heavier than others. Here's something I heard: tech shows. They can't find enough tech shows to run ad inventory in. There is a huge demand for advertising and tech shows, and there's not enough shows to run advertising in.
Are they very specific on what they consider a tech show to be?
Well, they're looking for tech shows, like my Geek News Central type tech show. And then there's some that are looking for something even more narrow.
Right.
But still, used to be there was a plethora of tech shows. Now, advertisers are having a hard time filling inventory on tech shows.
Mm-hmm.
One person said to me, and he was like, "There's too many beeping business shows." That was the, kind of. I was like, "Oh, really?" And
effing business shows,
right? Yeah, too many of those. And
right.
So I thought, oh, okay. But I think still, the numbers of true crime are still relatively low. So I think those are plenty of inventory, for those shows, because there's not as many.
Yeah, because I think this show is considered kind of a business show.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say
it's kind of a business.
It's a little bit of tech.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it's mostly, we have one of our categories selected as business, but
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, I think the space, is what it is. And a call that I did recently, I still say there's plenty of blood. There's blood in the water. I think we're going to see if companies don't go out of business, they're going to be on cruise control. And now is not the time.
It depends on what's going to happen to the economy. There's a lot of
it's already
talk,
yeah.
It's already a lot of talk.
So we're already being seen. That's one thing we heard at NAB again and again. People were shopping for deals. They came by and they're with a specific group, and they're looking to save money.
Oh, you're talking about on purchasing things?
Well, on services, on podcast hosting services. So I'm
getting a discount or something.
Oh no, I had at least probably as many as 20 folks that were hosting on a variety of platforms. So, what kind of a deal can you do for me? What is your pricing?
Yeah, so they're looking for their price shopping. Is
right.
What you're saying.
Absolutely.
Right.
And and you lay a number out there, and you're like, wow, that saves me X. And I'm like, well, we're ready to move you. And just recently we moved about 150 show network purely because of cost.
Right.
So,
yeah, I mean, if you're not getting that ad revenue coming in, you have to tighten the belt a little bit.
They're getting the ad revenue coming in, but the challenge is they got to trim. They can't. The free money's gone. They have to show a profit.
Right. So that means that the revenue is not coming in as much as they were before. Right.
The free investment money is gone, and they have to run on their own.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So,
I mean, there's inputs and outputs, and if you don't have enough inputs, then you can't have the same level of outputs on your spending, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Or if you're expecting investment money to come, and this just happened with. There was a big article about it on one of the finance sites talking about how Twitter before was funding and buying as many as 20 startups a year and then promising cash to companies to continue their work. And that spigot was turned off. So all those folks now are scrambling. There's articles out there talking about how they call them unicorns. And I don't know what a startup is that's a unicorn. Maybe they've only gotten one round. Let me see if I can look at this.
Well, a
link.
unicorn is a startup that is anticipated to be, to bring 100 times return on the investor's investment, right? So it's typically a blowout success of a startup.
Unicorn is a term that's used in venture capital industry to describe a startup company with a value of over $1 billion. Now, here's the problem. There's 400 unicorns that can't get any more money. That was the summary of the article was that they got to make it or they're going to break it. There is no runway. They have no round two. They are not going to get another round.
Well, and also there is a resetting of expectations around investment that's happening. That's falling out of what's happening with AI right now too. Is that we're probably going to see less investment in large dollar amount investment in startups. We're probably going to see 200, $500,000 kind of be the peak, and the expectation is that those companies will be able to be built with just maybe 3 people versus having a team of 25 or something like that. And to scale to profitability with just 3 people.
But at the same time, there is, let's put it this way. Into people that are not speculators, in other words, you have an investment group that is, they want to see hard numbers. They want to see you be profitable, and they, those types of risk adverse investors that are coming in to swoop up companies or come in and provide capital that and basically they're not giving you a penny unless, and the discussions that I've had recently with some of those folks, I say, we're scared of AI. It's too loosey-goosey right now. He says, we're going to wait a year to see where things kind of fall and who's going to make it and who isn't. In that regard,
it's not so much investing in AI companies. It's more utilizing AI to grow and scale whatever company that you're starting. So, and I do think that we're kind of in this gray area right now of how much of these startups are being built to utilize AI technology to enable them to scale with very small staffs. So their burn rate is much lower to reach scale, and they use AI technology to do all of their code writing and to do all of their content generation and all the stuff like that as a way to cost cut.
I think that is dangerous if you're going to do that as a, if you think you're going to make it on AI, then you've because there's bits and pieces. That's what I'm calling it now. There's bits and pieces that where AI is being useful. Bits and pieces.
I mean, right now, but if you look at investors, VC investors, their expectations of the dollar amount, instead of, like an investment that would be like either $2 to $5 million investment in a startup, I think what the expectation going forward is that small team will be able to accomplish the same thing with $1 million versus
and
5 or 10 million
until AI starts stealing code.
Right.
And then we end up, you have lawsuits in place because you ripped off functionality and unless if you put your code out there. I don't know
that it's stealing code, Todd. I think the AI technology is being written to actually write code.
Okay, but it is going out and looking at libraries and looking at.
It's clearly pulling from libraries. It's
pulling code.
Obviously.
So as soon as it's all good and well, until it pulls some code and someone builds something that is built on someone else's IP. It's just like companies right now, Wikipedia and not Wikipedia, Reddit and others are saying, hey, you've trained your AIs on my content. You are now going to have to pay a traffic fee. You're going to have to pay to, they're going to go out there and go say, hey, you've built this AI model on the back of our content and given us nothing. So there's going to be blood and water in that regards too, as these companies come out and say, listen, you've stolen and scraped everything that we've had online.
So how would anybody know that though? I don't believe there's any way to directly trace the source of the information.
All you got to do is look at the log files.
The log file.
Yeah, look at the web log files. See what, who and what has scraped when and where. So, this is what these companies are saying now. These big companies are saying, listen, you can't do this for free. You have to pay us for this to scrape our site. I'm sure they've scraped Blueberry. I'm sure they've scraped Buzzsprout and Libsyn, and they've learned a lot about podcasting by scraping our sites. Now, if that gives them the information to then go out and allow someone to compete against me by information they've scraped from me, well, then am I rightfully compensated for that scraping? That lays the question. So it's early days yet. So I think we're going to see a lot more people not wanting these models to be doing what they're doing.
So is that going to put if you think about that, if you extend that out and you think about if companies become scared of putting out information about a particular industry in trying to educate a customer, right? And that the AI technology goes in and learns all that information and then repurposes it to support people that don't have anything to do with your business. Is that ultimately going to cause a pushback against creating publicly available content?
Yep.
Or is everything going to go behind a firewall?
Yep. It's, if you think about it, I've looked at just some of the stuff I've created. We've got something that we're going to be launching in a couple of weeks. And I didn't know the first step to writing instructions on how to implement what we're launching. So I asked ChatGPT, give me installation instructions for this. And it wrote me out a great set of instructions. And I turned it over to the dev and I said, modify this to match what we're doing. And he, about 45 minutes, cleaned it up, modified it because it wasn't all right. It was, using, global examples of what we're launching. And boom, I saved us a couple of hours of work of hand typing stuff out. Now, someone somewhere wrote those instructions out and it learned that someplace, whether it was from Google or from Microsoft or from whoever, Safari, wherever they may have learned this information. So I guarantee you that data was sourced someplace and essentially wrote me instructions. And it wasn't, I can't tell if it's been plagiarized, but that definitely was someone else wrote that data before. And I'm sure they don't want me to just reuse it. So, this
does, it does seem like that there is a potential risk here that we could be seeing this market with AI develop in a way that basically it puts out an incentive for people to pull content down off of the web.
Absolutely.
And what we see happen is content shifting over to the internet, not to the web.
I have, this should be
different.
This should be very obvious, but I've instructed my team not to put anything into ChatGPT that we would consider company IP.
When you say put it in on a
in other
query?
words, let's say that I put in a financials and try to have
why
this
w-
thing and
Yeah,
have,
so why would you put your financials in?
okay, let's say you want some
GPT?
analysis.
Oh, okay. Like some charts and
Sure. You put it in, you put
kind
in,
of like a layout
yeah,
for,
you and say,
for a presentation.
analyze what products are growing, instead of having to go into QuickBooks or whatever, and have it spend hours generating a chart.
Right.
So I didn't, because what happens if I put in company IP, financials, new project planning, all these things that we have, that I've got behind, the company's not going to talk about it until we launch it. What happens if I do all the planning for that project in ChatGPT, and then somebody over at Libsyn says, "Hey, what's Blueberry doing? What are they building? How can I be competitive against Blueberry?" And all of a sudden it says, it knows that I'm building X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see some concern about that.
And they say, "Oh, it's all anonymized, randomized." Well, that stuff still goes into the guts of this thing.
Well, if it can be identified based on a brand, then it isn't
A brand,
anonymous.
a past, there's been a few things I've said, "Hey, rewrite this."
I would probably pull your brand out of any kind of query then.
The thing is, it's already scraped the web. So what if I've taken a 10-year-old article and
Well, it's old. It's currently old information.
I know, but let's say I take a 10-year-old article and I want to refresh that article, and I use ChatGPT to refresh. It will already have scraped that data and had a semblance of information. So, be careful what we wish for here. And I don't know if you saw Tom Webster's post on Facebook the other day, not the one where he smashed his face. And by the way, Tom, I hope you get to feeling better.
Yeah.
He took a pretty big whack to the head. He's going to have a nice manly scar across his forehead. But, he talked about Bed Bath & Beyond going out of business. And, the example, he was talking about how AI and how as people get older, they're less employable and all. I hate to say it, ladies and gentlemen, when you hit 50, you better really work hard to keep the job you have, because companies are looking to downsize and you're the most expensive people at that business, and they're going to do everything they can to get rid of you, even though they say you can't because you don't discriminate against old people. But you better be learning AI. You better be learning all this stuff, and you better be bringing in more revenue you better be bringing in 4 or 5 times revenue than what your salary is, or you're gone. So as an example of adaption, a friend of mine, kept hearing me talk about this AI on my show,
Mhm.
and said, "Hey, can you just spend 30 minutes with me on a Zoom call and get me started on it?" And basically, I got on a Zoom call with this individual, and they were basically updating their resume. And I said, maybe what you should do is take your old resume in, or segments of your resume, and get summaries. And I kind of explained maybe some things they could do. And I took like 15 minutes. About 3 hours later, I get this call back. Said, "Todd, I'm hooked." So I got 5 brand new resumes. I've got 5 cover letters that were written for new jobs I applied to in 5 different industries. And it was a holy shit moment for that person.
Yeah.
So, and that was with 15 minutes of me just saying, "Okay, just try this." And 3 hours later, they're hooked. So, and I keep running back, and I keep even telling my team, anything comes out of this thing, make sure we're looking it over 5 times, make sure we're making sure everything makes sense, make sure it's not too flowery, make sure, personalize it, all these things. But it puts out some pretty awesome product. And
Mhm.
grammar is pretty correct as well.
Yeah. There's an advantage there. It's going to put the Grammarly folks out of business ultimately, right?
I'm using Grammarly less. Now,
Yeah,
here's
that's what I mean.
here's what I have found.
Actually, Grammarly will want to rewrite everything that ChatGPT outputs.
Grammarly chokes on most. If I write something, and let's say I have 2 paragraphs, and I
Right.
take it out of ChatGPT and I dump it into Grammarly, Grammarly often sits there and spins its head.
Yeah.
It has a hard time, and there's something there that I don't fully get. I guess if I was a professor in
I'm
college,
not. I haven't seen that. I've seen, if I put ChatGPT output into Grammarly, Grammarly will go through it and just tear it apart. That's what I've seen.
I've seen the opposite, where it just sits there and spins and has a hard time making any sense of it, but not always.
Well, I mean, it wants to get in there and change words, change sentence structures.
Well, that's probably a
It wants to
good
do all
thing
that
because
stuff.
its own AI is making changes.
Right. So you have battling AIs
Yeah.
that are trying to
Right.
edit your document, right?
Yeah.
And
But I just caution people: make sure you keep the control of your source documents. You go changing things. Make sure you have that source document where it's in its pure form from before. That you can revert to.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the Grammar Girl AI platform to launch here. Mignon, get on that.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have fun with it. But
Right.
again, it's one of those situations where everyone that's anybody is going to be playing with this on their own. So a lot of these AI tools are going to have to become very super focused on what they do and do it very well, because otherwise they're not going to need to use those tools when ChatGPT 5 comes. Because 4 is pretty doggone good.
It is. But what's coming in the next year is going to blow it away from what I hear.
So this is why I'm very hesitant to actually build AI tools, because do I build something no one's going to need because they're just going to use an external tool that's much cheaper than what I can offer it as a service?
Well, if you think about it, there's these big tech companies are all over this, right?
Right.
So you've got Google with their what's the name of that? Bard,
Mhm.
I think is the name of their AI, and then Chat GPT-4, and that's primarily owned by Microsoft now. So you can kind of see where Google and Microsoft have been battling each other for years over search, right?
Mhm.
So and Google kind of got caught on their heels here a little bit, but they've been working on AI for a long time, and so has Microsoft. But Microsoft, I think, got a jump on this because they bought a big stake in Chat GPT. So what we're going to see happen, and I saw the CEO from Google make a comment on this on 60 Minutes, where he was saying that they have more advanced AI tools that are in the pipeline coming, but they're a little hesitant to release them, to release those platforms, because they don't think that our society and our culture and our business environment is ready for that yet.
Oh, they're ready for it, but it's going to be disrupted.
Well, they wanted to put out the simpler version first, get people used to it, all this kind of stuff, and then evolve it, and then come out with greater capabilities later. But I just wonder, there's other AI platforms out there that we don't even know about that are going to change everything. And I think a lot of them are going to go into the military, for one thing, and I think a lot of them are going to be government controlled.
Well, time will tell, but
it wouldn't surprise me at all.
I don't need a personal assistant right now. And 3 months ago, I was seriously thinking about hiring one and struggling to think, how am I going to train this person to understand my methodology? And, it's like spend 3 months training somebody and then hope that they stay and work for me for a couple of years. I don't have to do that anymore. I have my PA.
Right.
But I'm not trusting my PA's output either. I'm being very diligent about that.
Todd, I found this article on weeditpodcasts.com that talks about the 10 skills for a successful podcaster. I thought it was an interesting kind of
So what are the
list.
10? What is the 10 skill?
The number one is organization and planning skills. Number 2 is research skills. Number 3 is audio engineering skills, storytelling skills, skills to be able to do an interview, creative marketing skills. Obviously, communication skills are important, and community building skills, perseverance and consistency. These are the aspects that, we can appreciate, and strong time management skills.
I would agree with
10.
a lot of that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You tell a content creator he has to be, or he or she has to be all that, and their brain explodes.
Well, some of these skills are not easy skills to develop. They take actual doing. Like doing interviews is not something that you're born with the ability to do.
You got to dig in and maybe do 50.
Yeah. And certainly storytelling skills doesn't come to everyone.
David says on YouTube, every other email I receive these days is offering some AI-powered podcaster service. David, they don't send me too many of those anymore because I blast them for spamming me. So when you see something interesting, make sure you forward it to me. Or you can surface through the junk and send stuff to me.
And then I think one of the big areas that there is definitely a weakness out there is audio engineering skills.
That's why you follow the Todd way.
video.
You follow the Todd way. You just cut the ends and process the audio and be done.
There's a lot of people that, and I think increasingly that is going to be easier with AI too. I think AI will be able to get in and do editing for people too. I think we're seeing that develop more too. And then just basic research skills is an important capability too. One thing that they didn't say in here, which I think is an important one too. Well, I guess it's covered under communication skills, but I think it's the ability to communicate clearly and to feel comfortable on a microphone or in front of a camera. Those kind of things are important.
I think the more important thing is passion about the topic you're talking about.
Yeah.
If you have passion,
and knowledge,
and knowledge, that way you don't have to do as much research. If you're an expert and you know what you're talking about, you don't have to do as much research.
So that's always a big part of any show that you do. I mean, even because you should always be learning, right? You should always be trying to pick up what's happening in the industry, just like what we do with this show. I mean, we don't always have the answers just because things are moving too fast.
It goes beyond that. It's, the way the world is today, and it goes back to what we talked about a little earlier. If you are just maintaining the status quo today and you're JOB, if you're just showing up and doing your thing and you're not educating yourself of what train wreck's coming, you're going to find yourself on unemployment and unemployable.
Well, and a lot of what was talked about that I've been seeing increasingly is it's becoming clearer and clearer the jobs and the professions that are going to get kind of canned because of AI over the next 5 years.
Middle management.
It could be as much as 40% of all jobs.
I could see it. Over the next 10 years, I could see it.
Well, and it may happen sooner than we have any idea too.
But the problem that's going to be run into, let's just think about this for a second, is, okay, if I ask, let's say I need a marketing plan, and I ask something to write me a marketing plan, an individual to write me a marketing plan, usually that individual is going to have had some experience and will have had, the ability to have insights that maybe I wouldn't in writing a marketing plan.
Mm-hmm.
But if that insight and those marketing plans have been put and made available on the web,
Yeah.
and those insights are being garnered and coalesced, and then I ask for a marketing plan for something, and I get a 5-page marketing plan that could not have been produced in 15 minutes, let alone, or it could have been, is produced in 15 minutes, let alone a month worth of work. That changes the game completely. And that's what we're talking about here, is this grind stuff that we have to do. That's
Right.
where it's the bits and pieces. You still have to do implementation. You still have to do all this other stuff, but it's the bits and pieces. It's that grind work that kills us all, that we dread and put off, that we don't have to work so hard at.
I think, Todd, I kind of wonder a little bit as we think to the future here, if even AI is going to put at threat podcasting.
I don't think so, because people are always going to want to hear original voice and original stories, and we are a long, 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 long way from synthesized voice replacing. I don't think people are going to put up with it.
Well, I just wonder if the AI becomes so knowledgeable about everything, right? That, because a lot of the reason that people listen to podcasts, this is always probably a certain percentage of the reasons why they listen to podcasts, is to learn new things, right?
Sure.
Keep up with developments, to keep up with new perspectives on things. Now, granted, shows that are geared towards entertainment, making people laugh, giving them an emotional experience, that's kind of a different type of content that I don't know that an AI is going to be able to fully replicate at a human level. But that's a big question mark too. But I just wonder about various types of content. So if you think about a show like this, where we talk about the latest and greatest things that are happening in the podcasting medium, and talk about ways that this technology can be used or thought of differently, I think that there's some of that capability is in AI. All right. I just wonder, Todd, if this type of a show gets replaced by AI, because let's say people start putting up less public content, right? They maybe get into publishing contracts with platforms that are publishing into AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just wonder if there's going to be branded content that's available in AI as you look to the future.
Well, we'll see. I just think that proceed with caution.
That AI could become a replacement for the web, is what I'm saying. Because if you look at Google's running after this, right? And it feels to me right now that doing a Google query on the web, right, feels antiquated now, right? Is it better to go in and do a query to find what you're looking for?
I think you run a big, 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 big risk of doing that at this point.
In AI gives you the results. So let's say AI generates increasingly visual experiences as well.
Yeah, I again, if you're going to run home to AI to ask it how to wipe your butt,
well, but that's what people are doing in YouTube. That's what people are doing in.
But those are humans where you can see what's
Google
going on, and you can vet whether or not they're an idiot or not.
Well, supposedly if it comes out of AI, it's got to be believed.
Yeah,
right,
whatever.
Todd?
Yeah. Let's get brainwashed real quick here. All right, we did have a boost that come in and said, "Hey guys, a question for a future episode. We got room today. As an indie podcaster, and thank you for using Blueberry Stats, how can I act when I see a sudden burst of downloads over a week or even a day in a particular city or country to try to reach out to those people and thank them?" And that was the 10,000 sat boost from Papa HD, which I think is David. It's in our YouTube channel. I think what that really boils down to is if you see a sudden burst, then I would be looking, number one, where did it originate? What was the devices it came from? If you can, look at the episode level and dig down. And if you can't find anything where you were linked to by Google, or you can't find some social interact, you need to ask on the show and ask, hey, who was this and why? Or was it a specific piece of content? We had about November, we had one episode on this show that went really, it went really, really big, and like 50,000 downloads. And I attested it to something I had in the show notes. And I know that probably 35,000 of those probably didn't list more than a few seconds, but they came to the site because of a certain keyword that was in the article related
You're
to
talking
something.
about this show, or are you talking about
Yeah, this show. I was talking about this show. Yeah.
Okay.
But it was, there was a certain thing that happened in the world that was basically that page ranked up real high just for a few days, and people landed on that page and probably clicked play, and it probably within the hour and a half of the content, this stuff was buried. It was something to do with Elon. So,
we talked about Elon on the show.
yeah, it was before, and something that was in the show notes caused a surge of traffic just to that episode. So I kind of waved that off as those weren't new listeners. Those were people that were kind of passing through. So you'll see that once in a while where you get a burst of traffic, and this is where your web stats come into play. Go into your web stats and go into Google Analytics if you have it tied to your show, and then go dig in and see, okay, that time frame, where did that web traffic, was it a result of web traffic? And then, of course, Google hides what keywords were, but you can then go look at the page they landed on and kind of deduce and look at that timeline and see what caused that to happen. Martin sent us 2222, said, hey, you have 4 ducks in a row. I'll send an email about the stickers. Well, a lot of people are bugging me about stickers. Got to get those stickers out. Oh. I thought I was going to give you some stickers, Rob, make you the administrative control of sticker distribution.
Yeah, I've got some stickers. But,
and I got a post office box literally 25 feet outside my front door, so there's no excuse.
Todd, do we need to come up with like a merch store for the new media show?
We might.
Is that what's next?
We might, but I promised stickers, so I got to get these stickers out. So it's I'm horrible. And they don't even deserve any more boost because I didn't get the stickers out the door. Yeah, David said in the YouTube chat, I hadn't thought of asking on the show. I'll write a CTA for that. And really what happened with me, David, years ago is I was having this Antarctica. I kept seeing Antarctica come up on an episode, one download from Antarctica. And I was like, who is listening to the show in Antarctica? And I said, about 3 shows in a row, who is listening in Antarctica? And finally got a message back. It was some scientist down on the ice. He was taking, at the time, an iPod with him out into the middle of, loaded with podcasts. And that was his entertainment out on the ice. So, it's like, who are you? How come you're listening?
What are you doing out there? Right.
Right. So you never know where they're coming in from. But, and sometimes we look at those boosts like that too, and then we go back because what our system will do is it'll flag when a show sees a big spike like that, and then we'll go back and analyze and make sure that wasn't a bot or something like that. But I don't remember anything coming up in our metrics review that said we saw a big spike that needed to be looked at. Because sometimes we do see that stuff, and we have to add some additional controls.
Yeah,
you want those?
I thought. Oh, go ahead.
You want those big boosts of listeners.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, you never know when it's going to hit. I know with my old radio show, I don't know if I mentioned this on the show before. My show got a huge bump in audience and traffic on 9/11.
Oh,
of all things, right? When the planes crashed into the World Trade Center, that day was the biggest day for my radio show that I had in its whole existence.
What was the reason why did it bounce like that so much?
I believe it was because This was back in 2001, so it
Right.
was very early in the online media space,
Mhm.
and people were looking for current information about what was happening with the World Trade Center, and my show was streaming live on
Oh,
the Windows Media kind of radio platform. So it wasn't a live show, but it looked like it was live, and
r-
so people would click in that, and I got a lot of listeners off of the streams back in those days.
so
Not not downloads.
here's some numerology for you. One thing
Mhm,
we found in the Satoshi Boost game, and this was
mhm.
just posted by Sir Ted Farrell about boost amounts to podcasting 2.0. He's tracking it since from over a year. 222 333 10,000 1,000 5,000 33333 22 22 22,222 1,111 54321 6969 1337 777 1776 8008 and 2112 for all most popular boost amounts being sent to, I believe, probably to shows that he was looking at. So anyway, so the numerology lives in the Satoshi boosting world.
Hey, Todd, is there any way, I think with the time that we have left here, which is like a minute, but um, just kind of briefly tell our audience what's the easiest way to sign up and participate in value for value with the Satoshis? I mean,
Um,
where should they go? What's the first thing they should do? And then what's the
as a
second thing?
listener, go over to
Right.
podcastapps.com. That's the first thing.
Mhm. Okay.
If you're using, let me go over there right now and I'll bring it up on the screen. And you can use, let me find the apps. I believe at this point that the apps that support value for value are mostly Fountain,
Right.
Carrier Caster, Podverse. I don't know if Podcast Addict has added, they haven't added value for value yet, but they do live.
Hmm.
But, and I'm probably missing a few. So, but anyway, go over to podcastapps.com. You can sort on this page by actual apps. And you can then pick an app. Fountain and Podverse have made it real easy to fund your wallet.
Right.
You can use a debit card on, I think both of them. You can use Apple Pay, I believe, on Fountain. Just take $20, and don't think about it as crypto. Just think about it as buying tokens. Obviously, once you donate them, they'll back out into a value to the podcaster. But
So you're recommending actually buying tokens inside of one of the listening apps.
one of the apps.
Right.
That's the easiest
Okay.
for a listener to do. And
Can
then
you use that in other apps too?
no, you have to spend those within the app itself.
Can you buy Satoshis with crypto outside of any of those particular listening apps?
You can, but it's complicated. So it's better just to buy Satoshis right for a normal listener. If you have Bitcoin already, you can convert those into sats very easy. But my advice is to buy Satoshis right in the apps. And then you just use those as tokens to boost and to comment on shows. And
So when you're buying Satoshis inside of one of those apps, are you technically buying fractional shares of Bitcoin?
you
Or
are.
you are,
Yep.
but those are converted into a cyber currency called Satoshis.
Satoshi is basically the smallest derivative of Bitcoin, and it is Bitcoin based, but it's called a Satoshi.
Right.
And you can, if you like, as a podcaster, I can cash those Satoshis out and get those into fiat funds, which would be into
Cash.
a regular banking system, something where
Right.
you have dollars. So
It's converted based on its own.
and it rises and ups. It follows the Bitcoin value from day to day. Matter of fact, because Bitcoin's been on the rise, my Satoshi value has increased a couple $100. that I hold in my own wallet.
Mhm.
But here's the thought process.
So where's your, I mean, don't give,
Sure.
too much personal information here, but what wallet do you typically use for this?
Now, I'm a total nerd, so I have a wallet of my own that is run on a Raspberry Pi.
Okay, it's separate from
Right.
these apps.
But a portion of my wallet as a podcaster, and this is what we're telling our podcasters, is to sign up for a Get Alby account. And all your Satoshis that are donated will go into your Get Alby wallet.
Right.
So as a podcaster, you'll want to go over to Get Alby, and it's very quick, 5 minutes, you're signed up, and you'll have a wallet to receive Satoshis, and if you've value for value enabled your show. But as a listener, the donation piece is really simple. If you're listening along in Fountain or Podverse or CarrierCaster, and you thought, holy crap, what they said was fantastic, that's added value to what my day, then you can send us 1,000 Satoshis. And when you send us 1,000 Satoshis, it's 25 cents.
So that's sending a Satoshi is done, let's say, sending us
they call it a boost. They called it a boost.
A boost, right.
Right.
If you send it to the show, like sending to us, they would do that through like the Fountain listening app.
That's right.
But so if they send it to us, then we need to link up somehow to have it go into our Alby wallet, right?
So what happens is, because we have, as soon as you get your Alby wallet, Rob, I can put in our value for value system a split. I can put in a 50% split so that you'll get 50% of the donation. It'll go 50 to me, 50% to you.
Right.
Also, because I want to support the ecosystem. Okay, so what will happen is how this works for everybody, and why this is important is Fountain will take a fee for the delivery. Now, if you send me 1,000 sats, I'm going to get 1,000 sats. Actually, a little less, because I've already set up splits. If I have no splits, I'll get if you send me 1,000, I'll get 1,000. But Fountain may take 3, 4, 5, 10 Satoshis as a fee and that's how they in the podcast index. I have a 1% split going to the podcast index. Because the way Blueberry implemented, where we've implemented a 3% fee. So really, everyone in the ecosystem gets paid. That's the key to this too. You're not only supporting the podcaster, you're supporting the entire ecosystem of the app, and those and now there's starting to be services that are set up that you can say, okay, I'm using the Saturn application. I can send them 1% of the donations. And again, you, as a podcaster, you can designate percentages of your donations going to basically to support the ecosystem.
So in your Alby wallet, can I send Satoshis to, let's say, the New Media Show or some other podcast through that platform?
You as a podcaster, if you, I think you can, but it's complicated. So you have to know how to do it. You have to know my address. Maybe it isn't complicated. My address.
I can't transfer Satoshis from my Alby wallet into Fountain?
Yes, you can. You can. Yeah, you can fund.
Okay, so if I listen in Fountain, but yet I have an Alby wallet, I should be able to connect those together to be able to.
Yeah, to fund. And again.
To pay a show.
Right? Well, the best thing really, again, and I'm on their website right now. So in my Fountain account right now, I have 937,000 sats. So that's probably about $250 is probably what that equates to, I think. So I can send, actually I need to have a browse. So really what I do okay. So again, we don't want to get too complicated on the podcaster side. I have a wallet set up to be able to take money, a true wallet on an app that I send money to, that then I can send stuff out. So again,
so it says send there as well as receive.
Yeah, but on the send, you have to use either the browser extension or you need a mobile app like Zeus or Blue Wallet, which are traditional. Again, this is for the podcaster side. This gets complicated. So we just want to and again, as a podcaster, you'd want to transfer that into wallet to move it around. For me, I'm just using all the Satoshis that come in to support other shows. But you can get money. I can send an invoice, and people can pay me through my Lightning URL or my GetAlby address. People can actually send me, or I can get on-chain Bitcoin as well. So I can actually send this to an on-chain Bitcoin wallet and get money in. I know some of the stuff is people are like, what the hell is he talking about?
Well, and that's one of the things too that maybe is holding it back a little bit is it's the simplicity of being able to set this stuff up.
The simplicity here's the thing. Setting it up is easy. For a podcaster, simple. Blueberry podcasters can set this up in under 5 minutes. A listener can literally set this up under 5 minutes and fund their wallet. They can start receiving donations immediately. The complicated piece comes in is when you want, as a podcaster, to move that money into fiat funds. And there's a little bit more rigmarole you have to go through. And those things are improving day by day to be able to do that.
Does Alby enable you to convert to fiat funds?
I don't think so at this time.
So you would have to transfer that
to a wallet.
To like a cold wallet or
Right.
something like that.
Yep.
And
then exchange it for Bitcoin. Because there's an exchange.
Are you storing your Satoshis in a cold wallet or?
No, I have, if you want to call my Raspberry Pi a cold wallet, yes. Well, no. It's not something I can walk away with. I don't have
It's not like a little USB stick.
No. So all my stuff is, but I also have my recovery codes. My on-chain recovery codes, the 28 character or the 28 word, recovery stuff. Mm-hmm. So again, setting up is easy. And believe me, I understand that, I got all these Satoshis. I got $250 worth. How do I get that to cash? And that's where you have to have a wallet and you have to exchange. But again, for me at this point, so you've got a cold wallet and no one can steal your Bitcoin because it's right on your cold wallet. Probably
it's basically like a little USB stick of sorts.
Yeah. And you have a thumbprint or whatever to unlock it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, I think that this really boils down to, don't think about this. Okay, podcasters, listen. Mm-hmm. The value in this is really, truly right now about the engagement that you get. Just like on the show here today, I've read 2 boosts that have come in, and people have been listening to the show live, and I've been getting Satoshis every minute that they listen live. It's about the engagement you get, like an email coming in. Some shows get 25, 30 boosts a show. Get a lot of boosts. Some shows don't. Again, it's all about, it's the value for value piece is really, and it makes, so someone sent me Papa HT sent me 10,000 sats. That's about 250. And we talked about his particular issue for about 5 minutes on the show. So we hope we gave value back. So that he paid for consulting, gave us $2.50 for consulting. But these other comments in here are basically just, this show doesn't get this many emails. We never have gotten this type of emails. And if I bring up the live, if we look at the live, we've got Martin. He's giving us 10 sats every minute for listening to the show live right now. So 10 sats isn't a lot, but if he listens for 10 minutes, that's 100 sats. If he listens, for an hour, that's 600. That's, it's a micro donation. And
so that's done through Fountain.
It's done through the apps. You can set a per minute donation amount. Some people do 100 sats a minute. Some people do 1,000. I don't recommend setting 10,000 unless you're rich, and can afford $2.50 a minute to listen to the show. We appreciate it if you do that. But
Right.
again, these come in. It's just an ongoing stream of contributions.
Right.
See, there we go. And again, if I left this on, people would be driven crazy because every minute we're getting 10 sats. So we're getting 2.5 cents, I think is what we're getting every time someone's donating there. But you can see the boostograms. You can see the list of contributors. There's a dashboard. And the dashboard actually lays out, Podverse, Fountain, Cast-O-Matic, CuriouCaster, and Podfriend are the 5 apps that people have been contributing to the show. But it's not, again, and over the life of doing this so far, I've got 2.25 million sats. So over 5,100 payments from 49 different users. So that kind of gives you the cumulative value of this over time. And by the way, you do have to claim this as a tax at the end of the year. So this is why having a report of how much money you've gotten in is important.
Yeah, it's considered to be income, right?
It is income,
right?
Right. And when you cash it out, there's obviously whatever form you have to fill out for Bitcoin. Your CPA will take care of that.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a report that you can get that shows you the value by day because the values change. What you got that was worth $1 last year might be worth $2 now. So, there's that thing in play as well. But
would you say that it's considered unrealized gains, or is it realized gains?
For me, I don't know how the CPA did. I just reported it, but I don't spend any of this. I don't take any of it out.
Yeah, because if it fluctuates in its value, it's kind of like owning
Stop
on Bitcoin, right?
Well, it's just what you do own. It is a derivative of Bitcoin.
A fractional Bitcoin currency.
That's right.
It's basically what it is.
Yeah.
So if it goes up in value, you don't owe taxes on it
until
you convert it into a fiat currency.
Right. But again, it's not.
They're trying to change that too.
Yes, they are. So don't focus on this as if you make big money with this, great. But it's more about the engagement piece. It's more about the thrill that someone's listening, either live or on demand, and sending you a comment right from the app that they're listening on. This is the crucial point about this. Is you might only get $2 in donations in a week, but who cares if you got 10 comments that come in?
Mm-hmm.
That's the value to you as a content creator. That's wow, someone's listening and giving me input, even though they're bugging me, say, where's my stickers at? This is the piece to this that makes it interesting. So don't focus on the money. Yeah, as a listener, they're going to have to power their wallet with $20. But at a quarter a time, you can do a lot of donations. You can give a lot of feedback to a show on $20.
Todd, do we know, is there any shows that are paying Satoshis out to listeners as a rewards program?
Well, that's what Podfriend is about. That's what
Okay.
that's what
Sam
Sethi's doing. Yeah. So if
Right.
you go over and use Podfriend, I can fund to pay listeners. Actually, some people on Fountain, you earn money on Fountain too. So if you listen to shows, I believe on Fountain, you earn money just by listening. Not a lot. But on Podfriend, no. It's the opposite. You pay to listen as a listener. It's kind of a unique concept. Yeah,
but there's nobody that's paying listeners to listen.
Fountain is. But
okay.
I don't. And if I got it wrong, Fountain, I'm sorry. But if it's not a lot. I use the app mostly to send boosts.
Yeah, because then that would be equivalent to like a frequent flyer miles program or something like that. Right.
Yeah. And some of my listeners send me just the stuff that they get in earnings on the apps versus putting their own money in too. Mm-hmm. And as at some point I'll be able to go over and I could reward someone for listening. As a podcaster, I can do the opposite. I can make it a value for them. Just listen and be able to earn by listening. Whereas PodFriend, they want you to, it's basically get in the mode of you as a listener supporting a show and paying to listen, which is a unique,
Right.
very, that's flipping the model on its head.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're way late.
We are. We're long-winded today.
Yeah, David
Todd.
says the listen peaks feel so good, but getting to say thanks would be so much better. That's true. And we all want to know where people are listening from, and we want to engage with them. So again, this is a slow uphill climb. There was a certain individual at Podcast Movement that was not, NAB, that was not happy about Podcasting 2.0 and was not happy about the Podcast Standards product. So there's not everyone is on board with it.
I think that reasoning was just because of adoption. Right.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we are long. And we need to be gone. By the way, Rob, let's see, let me double check the calendar here. I have a hard commitment next Wednesday. I cannot do the show on Wednesday, but I can do the show another day if you want to move it to another day. But tomorrow, next Wednesday, the 3rd, is impossible for me. So let me know if you'd rather go on the 4th or the 2nd, and we'll see where I can fit it in.
Probably on the 4th might be the better.
All right.
Better choice. Let's see here. Look at the 4th. Yeah,
I'm double checking
do it on the
my
4th,
calendar
on Thursday.
here. Hang on, let me look. So
on Thursday the 4th.
Yeah, I can do Thursday the 4th at our normal time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just do that then.
All right. Everyone, thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of our little family of podcast listeners. And again, go over to podcastapps.com, join the experiment. And then again, the companies that are involved in this are listed that have enabled this. I think there's 6 or 7 now. So you'll be able to, hopefully your host will be participating. If they are not, Blueberry would be happy to migrate you. And Rob, you and I need to do a sit down and a walk through too. So let's get that on the calendar.
Yep.
But, all right, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks. And Rob and I are talking about some things. We're going to have a meeting about the show. So
yes. Ways that we can improve the show and things like that if it's possible and if it's practical too. So
Yep. All right. Everyone be safe. We'll see you next time. Everybody take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
I better not show them that screen. Let's try this one. Okay.